There was an attempt to... There was a competition put up by Ursula Leichenberg. I first got wind of the... it's like, I think Friday. It was Nino look-alike competition. $5 million prize paid by Con Oil. And I was reminded of it today. People walking around dressed like me. And at first, I thought it was just Blaine County. Ursula's part of their office, right? And I thought it was just them trying to use my name, you know, to hype up an event. I was like, all right, that's kind of interesting, I guess. Then I started to get phone calls from individuals, including the League of Evil, Mr. Rusty. And that's when it clicked. It clicked that this is probably one big elaborate setup to kidnap me. They've been trying to do it forever. You know, you told me about this.
Yeah.
I let one of my boys know, Andre from the ATB, and they tried to pull something off. And next thing you know, they were taken care of.
Damn, okay.
Well, not all of them. They tried pulling up Junior. Rusty gets clapped, and we get out of there.
Those guys are relentless.
They really are. But
I got some pretty big news.
Hmm.
So I was going about my day, just normally driving through the city, and crashed into this car, came out of nowhere, sent me flying, cracked my head on a wall, knocked me out. And while I was passed out, I had a vision. Do you know who spoke to me?
No.
The Storm Lord.
Really?
I don't know what my what the next task is, but it was very clear what the Storm Lord wanted me to do next. And it's become a city guardsman. I'm going undercover.
What?
I already got an expungement and had an interview. The BCSO's about to hire me.
Oh my God. Yes.
I had an interview and it went well. I'm just waiting for my uniform to get fitted and then I'm in.
And they're willing to take you just like that?
Yeah. I don't know if they'll trust me because, like, some of them used to, like, patrol Polito and chase me all the time, but I got an expungement. It sounds like they need city guardsmen. And some of them I do not like. So I'm gonna explore from the inside and wait for the Stormlord's next commands.
Oh my God. Yeah. That is perfect. This is yeah, no, this is really good.
Been doing ride-alongs with Declan Crane and McNulty.
Yeah? And how's that been going?
It's been going pretty good. Pretty sure they said once my uniform's ready, I'm in. So
Oh
the
my
next
God.
day or two, I'll be hired on to start my cadet phase. And then I just gotta take McNulty's job.
I could actually imagine that happening, if I'm going to be honest.
You know, that's why I was Delver and them were saying that, like, you know, the sheriff and the chief are appointed. And I was like, I got in with people that appoint them. I might be able to take their jobs.
Okay. Listen, Bjorn, you know, obviously I'm not a very big proponent of the cops In fact, I think I've slowly grown to hate them even more, even though the last year I've tried to help them as much as I can.
Yeah.
But I think you being implanted in there is probably going to do really good for everybody. See what's tapped in on the inside, you know? What are the
Yeah.
problems? Why are they doing this and that? And you never know when push comes to shove if, you know, what that could mean with everything.
Yeah. I don't really know why the Stormlord wants me to, but I always listen to the Stormlord. So that same day, I got an expungement immediately.
Hmm.
Started applying.
Have you spoken to the others in the guild?
Well, the only ones that are really around is Delver, and then like Lexi hangs out with us a bit. And I had a meeting with them. They were not really happy. Well, Lexi believes in following whatever the Stormlord says, and Delver was pretty upset about it because he's trying to become a street demon and boost. But I told him he better not boost on my watch because shit ain't gonna be sweet out there.
Oh shit. I that's surprising, you know. You know, the
The others
Stormlord
in
and
the
everything.
guild will. I know. I didn't really expect it. It kind of came out of nowhere. But I'm guessing he's got a plan. Who knows how long I'll be a city guardsman for, but we'll see where it takes me.
Yeah. I mean, anything can really happen, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, I got there's something I'm hopefully you can look into for me if it comes across your desk. Um, there's an entity organization owned by the Oracle.
Oracle? I don't think I've heard of them.
You'll see him twat around every so often. But Bjorn, there's some very heavy things happening in San Andreas right now. Powers that are hard to judge as to how much they got. Some of these entities have access to military grade equipment. Others have access to, you know, telecommunication networks, these sort of things. Some of them opposed with to each other, and some of them allied. And without diving too far deep, because man, that would be a hell of a lot of information. I'll say this is it's hard to place what the motives of said individuals are. One of these organizations is known as the Faceless, Oracle being the opposing party, and they've been attempting to garner a lot of influence of people. But the more and more I learn of them and those that are involved, it seemingly is a big chess match where the prize is wealth and control, and seemingly the only losers are each and every one of us. Worst of it is, the more I learn, the more it seems as though even they themselves are just an extension of investors, corporate entities outside of San Andreas that are attempting to suck this city dry. And
I've,
my interest in all this is, as has always been, you know, the more you know about something, the more you can kind of gauge as to what you need to do next. You know what I mean?
I've heard I know a bit about the Faceless, but I haven't heard of the Oracle before. Do you know much about them?
I believe they have interest in New Epsilon.
Oh
Um,
shit. Okay.
I believe that New Epsilon, alongside, um, was likely granted either directly or through some set of investors the New Epsilon building. Faceless has very similar pull, military, etc. In fact, I think they got Max from the Liquid Library. I believe they paid for purchase that for him.
Oh.
Yeah. He's one of the Faceless assets. But it comes back to the why, right? I think from where I stand, right? I've played the game that a lot of these people have played, right? You know, having control of some things, making it feel like you're powerful, while the reality is someone just pulling strings, making you feel good, until they end up tugging that string in a direction you don't want to be. So, but yeah, in terms of the Oracle, all I really know is about New Epsilon being an ally. I believe that they're also working with Rich Doc. For Faceless, it's about pretty much every criminal entity in San Andreas.
So we've been investigating New Epsilon for a while. We got a guy on the inside pretty high up. There's
Really?
something been going on with them where they apparently they have some old Epsilon literature that's been disappeared. They go by their guide or whatever they have, but then apparently there's an older version that has completely disappeared. And apparently it seems really important to them. And we got a guy that's trying to recover one of them, and we think there might be important stuff in it. And
Really?
supposedly he's really close to getting us one.
Holy shit.
We meet with him about once a week for a rundown on what he's learned.
I spoke with Eliza a while ago, and I'd been meaning to try to get a better understanding of them. From what I understand, Epsilon was like a organization a long time ago, right? Used to operate as one of the chapters in San Andreas, one of many, and very similar to other let's say Masonic sort of organizations. Not to say they are one, but very similarly, they've invested a lot into into the government. Like they do charity work, but they also have sort of a cult like join us, we're doing things, and then once they got you, maybe they stop making you do something wild. In fact, their emblem is on the Los Santos and San Andreas state and county emblems. If you go to Mission Row PD, you'll see it on the floor.
Whoa.
Yeah. But Eliza, her pitch is that the old chapter used to do some wild shit, things that weren't sanctioned according to her. Hence the new in New Epsilon. In relation to the Oracle, I don't think that the Oracle necessarily birthed them, but rather there was an attempt to sway them and persuade them onto their side. But I don't know if that's gonna help, but related but unrelated.
Okay.
I was also told by Slacks that the Oracle is a sphere. But then I also got Marshall classified documents that place the Oracle as a hacker organization of some sort.
Wait, do you know which Marshall those are from?
Uh, all of them. It was a document that they published.
Okay, because Lando and I met with a marshal about some stuff that included the faceless, and there's one that's been investigating all this, and he knows a lot of stuff. And he knew
Richard Doc.
about us. Yeah, Dark.
Yeah.
He knew about us before we knew about him.
Really?
He found me on the sidewalk for my jog and said we needed to meet. And he told me a bunch of stuff. He had been like following us for a while.
What the fuck? Did he explain why he had interest?
Well, he did not really. He like it was a really long meeting, but he talked about like all the stuff he knew with like the faceless and like investigating all this stuff and and involved like Norman Bones and stuff, like all kinds of connected stuff. But he knows a lot of stuff and he's been investigating it for a while. So he probably knows he didn't I don't think he mentioned the Oracle, but so he definitely didn't tell
Mm.
us everything he knew.
I am not the biggest fan of Doc, mostly because he's attempted to target me and those in my cabinet over hunches. And when I say hunches, I don't mean some weird shit, just to be clear, but rather like untrue shit, right? I kind of like, oh, you must be doing something illegal when they're actually like a full blown civilian. Well, there's a fucking nuclear blast. I'll tell you this. These are dangerous enough entities that have access to like some very, we're talking like nukes, chemical warfare. But it is true that Norman Bones and, you know, fucking Pestilence or Dr. Smith, as they call him, there are relationships. But I think those relationships sort of tie back into this, you know, connection tree, aka uh, these investors. And this is purely speculation now, right? I know the investors exist. That I know. To what extent, I'm unsure. But the way I see it playing out is, be it the Oracle, be it the Faces, be it Pestilence, be it Norman Bones. All these people are just entities that help do their bidding. You know what I mean? I mean, hell, if you want to invest into an entire island, you would get the most dangerous people and get them to do your dirty work. It's not. I'm
gonna tell you something super secret.
Yeah. Okay. You know it's gonna be safe with me.
We used to have a way to contact the faceless. You remember in the comic hall? I don't remember if we ever show you the orb?
I used to use it all the time.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
So we had the orb again up in Polito, and sometimes it would
What?
talk to us. And we were hearing the faceless on the other end. Okay, so what do you know about purgatory?
Oh my god. I believe it to be a make-believe delusion that Edgar was sent to.
We have evidence that it's real. And there was an okay. We have evidence that there are at least two other orbs out there. The Faceless has one, and there's one in Purgatory, and they're all connected because we communicated with people in Purgatory through our orb, and the Faceless communicated with us through their orb to our orb. The Faceless have an orb as well.
And what if the Oracle has the third?
Well, we don't. There could be more than we know of. So the ones we know of, there's one in purgatory because we heard we heard Edgar from purgatory through the orb.
I okay. Edgar said he was in Guama. But not Guam, Guarma. There's an R in there. It's like a country or some shit. Is when the lighthouse was like set ablaze, and me and Edgar had some beef, we can call it, mostly because of Tilly Winters and her stirring some bullshit. Edgar used to work for the Faceless, who's probably one of their first assets. Had him do things like kidnappings, wild shit that I was very, very familiar with. This is before I made contact with the Faceless. And, at the time, I just knew them to be like a terrorist organization. At least that's what it was portrayed to me. But having been the mayor on my second term, I got shit to fix, right? And I can't be wrapped up in that. But Tilly, she accidentally got blooded into 3POS. At least so she believed. And when I told her, like, listen, you got to pick and choose, because I can't be waking up tomorrow knee deep in, like, problems, only to have the marshals breathing down my neck as to asking me why, I got someone that's in a fucking terror crew. And so she stirred some shit with me, with him, and next thing you know, Edgar tried to take me out. I got him picked up, executed, whatever, right? All this kind of bullshit. But, while all this was happening, obviously I kept track of the guy. And, fast forward, the marshal's outside the lighthouse. Brandon Valentino's there. I'm aware some shit's gone down. And allegedly, Edgar, the fuck's that fucking Zuma's name? Fucking Zuma with the fucked up face. God damn it.
One of Edgar's guys?
It was one of Edgar's guys. Yeah, at one point. He's in the besties now.
Oh, J Hobbs.
Yeah, that guy right there. J Hobbs and Sonya apparently got burnt alive in there, right? But nobody really knew, right? Nobody really knew because none of them actually went and checked. A lot of it was speculation. They all stayed in the back. And I can say this with like high confidence because I, spoke to Brandon. I spoke to the lead marshal at the time on that case. Name's escaping me. It's one of those days. So, and Edgar's over here telling me he went to Guam. I don't. I'm just kind of bringing it up because it's hard for me to believe in the, the supernatural shit, right?
So, did we tell you like that we were living at Edgar's place for a little bit?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Because of the house, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you how all that happened. So, Edgar heard me, Lando, and Jaeger when he was in purgatory through the orb in purgatory. And we heard him. But like sometimes the orb you hear stuff like sometimes we would say stuff around the orb and we'd hear it back like days later. So like the time like you could hear stuff from like the past and maybe the future sometimes. Cuz like we had a plan to basically pressure Edgar into giving us one of his organs cuz Delver wanted one. And the orb ruined the plan and replayed Delver saying that like a couple days later in front of Edgar.
What the fuck?
Yeah, the orb kind of snitched on us there. But anyway, so what happened was Edgar got out of purgatory. And he got out because his guys went to try to get him out. And apparently one of them got trapped in purgatory. And they knew about our orb. because Edgar hurt us. So the reason the house burned down was because Father Mort and Edgar tried to do rituals to contact Freg through purgatory because they were trying to get him out. But the orb didn't really like
Oh.
them. So the orb would get pissed sometimes. Like we did like days and days of rituals. But one day the orb got mad and lit them on fire. And that spread and caught our whole house on fire. And that's how it happened. Because we were trying to let them use the orb to get their buddy out of purgatory.
What the fuck?
But then Edgar went crazy and he wanted us to move the orb into his house, and he got mad with power, and he knew about the power of the orb, and he wanted it for himself. So he kept out he was going crazy, and all he could think and talk about was the orb nonstop. So we had to hide it away because we were afraid that it got to a point where we thought they were going to try to use violence to take it from us. They went mad with power over it.
Jesus Christ.
But we have heard we've heard various things from the orb, which apparently does the name Blue mean anything to you?
Blue?
Yeah.
I mean, there's Blue Man.
Yeah, Blue Man from the Faceless.
You heard him.
We've heard him in the orb talking about plans that they've had. Apparently there was a family that oh crap, what was their name? There was a whole family that they were looking for, and apparently we researched them to try to find out who they were, and then we found out that they're all dead now. And if you look up their profiles on the MDT, it's a picture of their dead body laying in a hospital bed.
Do you remember what the name was?
Oh, I'm trying to remember what the last name was. Was it maybe Williams? I can't remember.
Wait, I know what you're talking about. Fuck. I vaguely
It's
remember this.
2 guys and a woman. It's a whole family. Are you able to look up deceased people maybe?
Let me see. Deceased.
I don't know if it was Williams. I think Courtney was one of their first names.
Oh, I
maybe.
can. Deceased. Fuck, it's not working though. Let me try again. Let me open a new tab. Profiles. Deceased. Search. Daniel Defont, Petty Ever Happy, Hook Alto, Kevin Laskellis, Kenny Thompson, Scott Jameson. Oh my god, these are a lot of...
Not ringing any bells yet.
Wait, what the fuck? Betty Scaletta, Karen Reasoneth. Okay, you're saying same last name, right?
Yeah, there should be 2 or 3 of them, same last name.
Silva. Then the Mites. Winchester, Wolf, Young.
Oh, I remember the first name was David. David something.
David.
Yeah, there's definitely a David.
Okay, I'm gonna go through some dead Davids. David Irish, David Parker, David Miller, David
Wait, Miller. Look up Millers.
Did the David have white hair?
I don't remember what he looked like, but
We
look up
got Christopher
deceased.
Miller.
Wait, yes, Christopher. That's it. Is there one woman with the Miller too? Maybe it's just them.
I see Christopher and Davis.
Okay, that's them. Christopher and David.
And then there's an Amanda Miller.
Wait, that's it. Amanda. Yeah.
Amanda, Christopher, and David.
Yeah, that's them. So one of them was apparently a scientist or something working on something for them, and they had one of them hostage. And we heard their plans looking for him, and then suddenly they turned up all dead.
Was there an Adelaide Miller?
Not that we know of. We only knew of the 3.
The 3.
Okay. Yeah.
What? Little Tugs is dead? Holy shit. He's on the deceased list.
Holy crap! R.I.P. Little Tugs.
Um. Okay. Okay, so I'll tell you something else. When I mentioned that, like, the Faceless, part of why me and Edgar's relationship started to go sideways is, well, we didn't really, it went from, let's just say it was rocky, right? And I was hyper sus of this guy, right? He's working for a terror organization. You don't know what they want, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. We fucking did that shit ourselves. But when you don't know what that organization is, and at the time being Faces, you're going to be a little, you know, you're not just going to open your arms up to it, right? Well, Edgar strongly believed that the Faceless had access to, like, nukes, right? Heavy fucking shit. And talking about end of the world and shit like that. In fact, Slacks, believe it or not, also believe that. And the thing is, Slacks believe separately that nukes were coming and the end of the world was near, or the end of this society, and that we needed bunkers and whatnot. So it wasn't just Edgar that knew about this, but Slacks knew about it. Others as well. Whether or not the Faceless were in control of it or just kind of knew about it, it's another matter. But in those Marshall documents, they talk about humane labs, which pestilence is tied to, and a weapon, chemical weapon of some sort that can be flooded into the water supply. And there's information in there talking about scientists that may have crafted it on their behest. Even separately, there's an individual now dead who was forced to make this neurotoxin. So was it a nuke that I had once heard of from Edgar and Slacks and all that? Or was it always a neurotoxin? Could be both. Well, the reason I bring that up is that these Millers, maybe they had something to do with that as well. Because if they died trying to make this shit, would line up with the guy that the Faceless tortured and fucking murked. In fact, there's an entire video of it. Guy opened up to dark.
What we know about the Millers was one of them was the scientist, and then the other ones were just his family, and they just wanted to take out his whole family. I don't know. I can't remember what like led to them having beef with each other, but I think the scientist was being held and made to work against his will.
That's what happened with this other scientist. Maybe those are... Holy fuck. Holy shit. You're right. I know for sure you're right.
That's one of the things. So like because I don't think the Faceless realized that like they were talking about this around their orb, and then sometimes our orb would just pick it up and we could hear them, but it was never like we were never communicating back and forth freely. It was like we would hear stuff like later or something after they said it, but then one time we were able to communicate with them, like we heard them through our orb and we were just straight up talking to them. But our orb has disappeared. We haven't been able to use it lately.
What?
Yeah.
What do you mean just disappeared?
We don't know. We think it's out of mana.
Okay. I'm gonna try to like create like a... So the orb was in the base in the like the dungeon of the guild hall.
Yeah.
And closed door, whatever. How did it go from there to Polito?
Okay, so it happened whenever things were going like south a long time ago, like Lexi and Lando and some of them took it out of the guild hall and buried it up north somewhere. And this was like before we ever lived in Polito. Like they just did it to hide it. And then like the guild hall, like the tunnels under the comic hall got destroyed and like caved in.
Hmm.
But it was already taken out of there. And then so and then it just in our living room we had this other like orb thing, and then our old orb like took it over. You know how like we had this orb that was kind of just like this glowing ball, but what would happen was it would sometimes activate and it would turn swirly and purple like our old orb, and that's when it like becomes active and then stuff happens, because most of the time it like sits dormant and is just like non-colorful and doesn't do anything, but then sometimes it like activates, and sometimes it takes one of us like talking to it to activate it. And we think that like the couple of us that were like the Stormlord's chosen are able to communicate and activate it better than others.
Holy shit. So I'm gonna speculate here. Obviously, a lot of this is speculation. Um, I if we know that y'all had an orb, the faceless had an orb, you know that there was a third one. Given what Slacks told me, I'm going to speculate that the Oracle's got an orb, right?
They could. So the third one that we know of is the one in Purgatory, because that's how we were able to hear Edgar and he
Oh.
heard us. But we don't know if there's only three. Like that's
Well,
the
what
three
if the
we know
faceless
of.
used the one in Purgatory?
They could, yeah, because some people like that blue guy has apparently been to Purgatory. So like there's other people that have been there and used that orb. And we don't know much about that one. But we've heard other people through that orb that like have been in Purgatory, because there's like other people in Purgatory and we've heard them through our orb from that one. But that's the three we know of. There could be who knows how many. Like
Yeah,
there could be more we don't know about yet.
of course. I mean, yeah, if there's more than if there's two, then why not three? Why not five?
Yeah, the only thing we know is that they seem like they're all connected. We don't No one really knows completely how they work.
Hmm. I know the Oracle apparently used to work for the Faceless. I don't know how true that is. This is what was told to me, but I haven't seen any, like, you know what I mean? Like, evidence or heard from, like, a direct source. Um, but,
We found out like we didn't know at first, but apparently like we know people that used to be in the Faceless, like TJ and I think Michael Simone and people like
what?
apparently and like people like Pigeon used to work for the Faceless like before the economic crash long time ago, and apparently the Faceless now is like a reformed Faceless group.
Wait, TJ Walker and Michael Simone used to work for the Faceless?
Yeah, but
And Pigeon?
it's like a old Faceless, like it was like a previous version of Faceless, and apparently the group now is like a reformed one.
That, that does line up.
And so like the Oracle could be another like break off of them or something, or like could have been used to be associated with them too, maybe.
New Faceless, new Epsilon. No.
Whoa.
I could definitely see them. I mean, they garner a lot of power. Most people. Listen, look, Bjorn, we go a long way. I used to sell guns for the Faceless. I mean, as far back as recently.
Whoa. Like Like within the past year and a half?
I've moved about 5,000 class 2s for them.
Holy.
Um, until they continued to fuck with me. My whole reason for it was I was on that, you know, there was a point in time where the marshals were up my ass, fucking DOJ. Literally shit that was happening behind closed doors at City Hall was just a bunch of power-hungry fucks that wanted everyone to, they want to enslave the public, you know, police state shit. And things used to get so bad that when I was made contact by them, I saw them as a potential partner that could resolve some of these things. But I'll tell you this, they haven't resolved shit. If anything, I did something others couldn't, which is, you know, mass distribute and whatnot. Now, but as time went on, I got fucking bored of it. Realized that they were, you know, they're powerful, but they're toothless, if that makes sense, right? A lot of equipment, but when push comes to shove, they're not willing to, you know, make the hard choices. But the reason I bring that up is, you know, it's more the reason why I'm so curious about things. Because you start to wonder, am I working for the right set of people? Right? Am I partnered with the right people? What happens if tomorrow comes and there's like 3 doors, right? One you can bring your family and friends through, while the other 2 is just a hallway to hell. You know, the funny thing about it all is, I don't even know where, any of my stuff is.
What stuff?
Everything I need to make whatever I need.
Oh.
Yeah. Given the mayorship, I, effectively created cell networks. Make the right call. Those calls go to other people that I don't even know. And things are just made. And I'll tell you this is the Oracle's been targeting when I sort of pulled away a couple weeks back, 6 weeks, whatever. But they were targeting a lot of these shipments, faceless shipments. Took down a carrier jet known as Skynode. Destroyed it.
Did any of these shipments happen on like a Friday a couple weeks ago?
Yes.
Oh, we heard about. They talked about a mission coming up on Friday. We heard about like on a Wednesday or Thursday, but we didn't know if it was like because sometimes you hear stuff like delayed from the orb, so we didn't know if it already happened or was coming up. But they talked about a big mission they had on a Friday a while back.
It's definitely possible. But with all this stuff I know, it's kind of one of these, I mean, it could have been, I mean, I can say that they've targeted at least for these shipments. But even in the grand scheme of things here, Bjorn, like, you want me to be honest with you? Back in the day when I was involved with guns, even you guys, right? I remember us talking very, very long about how when you have the power to turn tides, right? Whether it's like weapons, whether it's, what was it at the time? Like the silencers and shit, right? Like that shit needs to matter. It needs to be put into good use.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you right now, between my belief that the faceless is I don't know what their real agenda really is, what their goals are. The toothlessness. The fact of the matter is everyone that gets their hands on this shit is never for the right reasons. Most motherfuckers aren't even willing to pick that shit up and take care of someone, no matter who they are. I mean, you know, there's times that I sometimes think maybe it's better for a massive nuke to drop on San Andreas. When a select few do end up in a bunker. And the rest just, you know what I mean?
Speaking of bunker,
What?
little off topic, but we may have discovered a bunker recently.
Mount Chiliad?
Nope, in the sewer, we found a secret bunker, and it may have been filled with grenades and sticky bombs and C4.
What the fuck?
It also involves Stag.
That would be very stag-like.
Okay, so have you ever heard of the Chicken Man?
I have, yeah. Very
So
tall individual, presumably.
taller than me.
What?
Yeah, I'm like 7 foot tall. He's like 8 foot tall.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay, but we had a theory a long time ago because Chicken Man used to wear the same jacket as Stag. And we were always worried that one day Stag was going to become the Chicken Man. Well, Stag's been missing now for a while, and the Chicken Man, like a couple weeks ago, was coming at us hard. And there's like a chicken book in the library that like went missing, and there's another book in the library that every night at midnight it starts bleeding. And then the Chicken Man started showing up at the Liquid Library at midnight sometimes. So we started like trying to figure out what was going on because it seemed like it was connected to Norman because we found out like, okay, well, the book went missing because we stole it. We stole the chicken book because like we were trying to figure out what the hell's going on, and we read through it and found out all this like Chicken Man lore with like the Chicken Man can't go to the lighthouse because him and Norman apparently have big beef, and they're like mortal enemies. But we've been convinced that the Chicken Man is Stag from the future and he becomes the Chicken Man. So like long time ago, we were always trying to make sure to like stop Stag from becoming the Chicken Man. But we might have stolen his car one time because he drives this souped up muscle car with
Stags
red headlights.
or
Chicken
Man?
Man's. And we found these keys in it. And so one of them had a label on it that said sewer bunker. So we started investigating, like looking everywhere for this bunker. We spent forever and couldn't find it. But then we found it because we found this like secret hatch in the sewer that no one else had found. But it reaches like a ladder that only he can reach. But remember that one day when I called you when it was like a Sunday and it was like flooding out?
Yeah.
We were able to get in the bunker because the water levels rose.
You're talking about there was the fight. Was it the day there was the fight in the sewers?
I think it was like the day after that or something. Because
Okay.
I heard about a bunch of animals got loose in the sewer from like animal fighting.
Yeah. That was it.
It was around that, but the
What
flood
the
basically allowed
fuck?
us to get to the ladder that we couldn't reach.
Oh
So
my
you can
God.
only get there when it's flooded. So we like Lexi and Lando like were looking in the sewer one day, and I joined up with them, and they like I think it was Lexi who found the hatch. It's like the secret hatch in like the middle of the sewer, And the keys that we stole from the chicken man, one goes to the gate and then one goes to his secret bunker. And we go in there and there's like C4 and sticky bombs and grenades everywhere, like all over the place.
Brother.
And then guess what's sitting on the bed?
What was it?
Stag's helmet.
What?
And it was a bunk bed. So either he's living with the chicken man or he became the chicken man.
There's no way Stag would have became the chicken man. I don't believe that.
It was his helmet. So like eventually we waited for the water levels to lower so we could get out of there. And we took all the explosives, but we left Stag's helmet and like some other stuff. But recently Delver and I went back and we were like, we should get Stag's helmet. So we go back to get the helmet and the helmet's gone. And guess what's in place of the helmet?
What is it?
A chicken man statue.
Jesus fucking
Remember
Christ.
the ones that used to be all over City Hall?
Yeah.
It was one of those, right where his helmet was sitting.
This is a bit of a going off the trails a little bit too. Most of the League of Evil, it consists of ex-DOC, Lane County people, like, you know, Princess and Ursula Leichenberg, but it also includes people that were in jail, specifically the head of it, what's his name, Vladimir or whatever the fuck. Vladimir? No, Yuri Popov. So I a lot of those people are part of the sewer rats. And if the sewer rats are in the sewers, they probably would get their hands on that hatch as well. Right? And if there was C4 and shit lying around, that's probably where they got the ones that they were going to plant on the fucking dam or did plant on the dam. So y'all might not be the only ones that broke into that place.
Could be. I'd be surprised if they could find the keys for it because it takes 2 keys. You got to have one for the gate and then one for the bunker hatch.
But that's assuming that they went in there without permission. If Chicken Man lives in the sewers, and I think it's reasonable for him to be working with the sewer guys.
Could be, yeah.
And this whole conversation sort of blowing my mind. All these kind of things happening around you, and it's like, you know, it's almost like I knew half this shit, and then you knew this other half. It's like pieces are coming together.
Yeah. We still have, like, all the grenades went bad, but we still got to cut some sticky bombs. They're about to go bad, though. I was going to blow up McNulty with one, but now I can't.
I mean, you could.
Gave me, I could, but I might not get hired by him if he realized it was me. I gotta wait.
I mean, there's always Princess.
True. Oh, you want to hear something crazy too? I just thought of, because like these explosives we had are like kind of rotten over and shit. So we were gonna give some away. Were you around the day of the big Blarney's race?
No, I heard that after all of it was done, someone like blew him up or some shit.
So apparently Blarney's blew up afterwards, and Lang, Skipper, Sophia, and like someone else died. And Dante Rivers is who they're looking for as the culprit.
What?
Yeah, apparently they got blown up. There was like a sigil outside the place, and they're like reports that they're all dead. But guess what? Delver and I uncovered the Blarney's conspiracy.
Really?
So we like Lang seemed pretty sad about the event and stuff because there was like some scuff going on and stuff. So we're like, let's cheer him up and give him one of these things we got because we're gonna give him
Yeah.
away anyway.
Yeah.
So we pull up to Blarney's a little bit after the event, and we see Skipper in a van, and we look over, and Blarney's is in rubble, like it's all like trashed and shit. And
Oh,
then we see Skipper in a van, and he starts like speaking Spanish or something, and we're like, Skipper, we can see it's you. What are you doing? And we heard him say something about Polito, and so they drive off, and then we see Lang in the van. We start following them. They start shooting our tires out.
what the fuck?
They're in a blacked out van, and then right after that is when there's claims that they're dead. They're not dead. They're hiding somewhere.
Oh my god.
Delver and I just happened to roll up on them because we were trying to give a gift to Lang, and like,
Yeah.
so like they're in this blacked out, like it's like one of those news vans, but it's all black. So like we heard them mention Polito, so we go up to Polito and start surveilling, and we sit on like some rooftops, and we found out that they had a warehouse up in Polito, and we see the same van sitting outside that warehouse. So we watch it, and there's like sus people moving through Polito like all day, like.
What?
So the Blarney's conspiracy is that they owed a frick ton of money from the payouts on the big race. They couldn't pay
Oh.
it, so they faked their deaths and they're hiding somewhere up north now. And we
Honestly,
caught
wouldn't
'em, like,
surprise
as
me.
They were leaving.
I've been trying to get them to take money, to do shit, and they keep refusing to take it. I know damn well there's no way that they're making money. You know what I mean?
Also, apparently everyone thinks they're dead. No one knows they're alive, and even like some South Cyprus people think they're dead, from what we can tell. No one's seen them really since. We've seen a lot of sus people around Polito, though, but we know basically we saw them after it was reported they were dead.
I was told that by PD. You know what's crazy? Is when they told me, I'm like, have you looked inside? Like, have you? And they're like, we can't go in there. I'm like, what do you mean? How do we know that they're not in there trapped? And they're like, oh, well, you can't survive with a couple days of food, like with that many days of food. I'm like, how do you, they have a fucking full-blown kitchen. They could be literally behind that rubble and no one's looked.
Could have been, yeah. Basically, no one knows that we uncovered that except for Guild, so we haven't told anyone that.
Yeah, it's probably a good idea. They probably got their reasons. I mean, who knows? Maybe they owe the Faceless money or some shit.
We're thinking they owe a lot of money from that race. Like, some people are saying, like, millions.
Like they took it and then dipped.
Yeah, like, because they had people betting, like, big money, so, like, they might owe people millions from the payouts.
Holy fuck.
Warney's conspiracy.
That's fucking crazy. No, we should probably get going.
Yeah.